Grammar, an overview for learners of Australian English. To achieve success by the end of this entire series of videos, you should be well prepared for your IELTS Level 6 assessment. The focus on grammar in this video prepares you to do the following in your speaking and writing. To look at coherence and cohesion, lexical resources, in particular in this video, grammatical range and accuracy, then fluency, pronunciation response, and we've already looked at one that was specific on slang, colloquial and informal English, so using those various levels of English as situations and topics of the conversations dictate. Grammar is about language. The study of grammar looks at the order of words, known as syntax. Tenses in relation to verbs, different word groups such as nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions and conjunctions. It also covers elements of writing such as punctuation, spelling, sentence construction, phrases and clauses. Syntax relates to the rules we use when we combine words, phrases and clauses to make sentences and the order in which these words are placed. It is a major component of grammar. The main benefit of being able to use and understand grammar is that the meaning of what you say, hear, write and read is more readily understood. Learning a language is not simply about learning the meanings of words. It involves understanding how the meanings are constructed by the order in which the words are placed and the punctuation that aids that meaning. I've already uploaded a specific video that deals with verbs, and also in some of the videos there is explicit information about handwriting, the importance of capital, that is uppercase, and small lowercase letters, and how they aid meaning in writing, spelling and reading. There's also mention in some videos of punctuation, sentence types, phrases and clauses. So what can I offer you in this video that is focusing specifically on grammar? Well, I'll give you a quick review of grammar and its various components. I'm going to start with talking about the sentence. There are three types of sentences: a simple sentence. And a simple sentence contains a single clause with a subject and predicate, and it just looks like this: subject, verb, object. Note that a clause is a group of words containing a subject, verb and object. For example, this is my work. A complex sentence. A sentence that contains a subordinate, that is a dependent clause or clauses. It looks like this: subject, verb, clause. For example, Bill went to the shops to buy an ice cream, which he ate on the way home. A compound sentence is a sentence with more than one subject or predicate. That is, it has more than one clause joined by a conjunction or a semicolon, and it looks like this: subject, verb, clause plus conjunction or semicolon plus subject, verb, clause. The example is, Bill went to the shops and met his friend who was also buying an ice cream. The next aspect of grammar we'll look at will focus on the words we have written, and those nouns are the names of a person, place or thing. There are 5 types of nouns: proper nouns, common nouns, collective nouns, material nouns and abstract nouns. And the proper noun is the name of one particular thing as distinct from another. These always have a capital letter. Examples are Bill, who's a person; Snowball, which is a novel; Sydney, which is a city; and Australia, which is a country. A common noun denotes no one thing in particular, but it is common to any number of things of the same kind. It doesn't have to have a capital letter unless it's the start of a sentence. Examples are girl, toy, suburb. A collective noun is the name for a group of similar individuals when the group is complete. For example, a flock of sheep, a herd of cattle. A collective noun may be common or proper. For example, flock is a common noun. Houses of Parliament, and notice the capital letters, is a proper noun. Grammatically, a collective noun is singular in value when it describes one undivided whole, and the verb must be used in its singular form to denote grammatical agreement. For example, the jury consists of 12 people. However, if a collective noun is used as a plural, the verb must be used in its plural form, even though the noun appears to be singular. For example, the jury, meaning all 12 members, were, as in they were, already in agreement. A material noun describes what a thing is made of. For example, we get mutton, meaning meat, from a sheep. Notice that both mutton and sheep are common nouns, but more specifically, mutton is the material noun. An abstract noun talks about the quality, state, or action. For example, quality is height, weight, colour. State is poverty, wealth, or pleasure. And action is laughter, choice, or revenge. Abstract nouns relate to qualities, states, or actions that cannot be seen or touched and are thought of apart from any object or sense. For example, hardness is an abstract noun because it indicates a state that comes from a description of a concrete noun such as stone, steel, etc. Singular and plural forms of nouns. Now, this is really important for spelling when you're doing your writing of essays. If a noun describes one object, it is singular. If it describes more than one object, it's plural. Proper, material, and abstract nouns have no plural unless they can be used as common nouns. The general rule for making a singular noun become a plural noun is to add an S to the singular form. That's easy. For example, hand becomes hands, shoe becomes shoes, stone becomes stones, etc. But if a noun ends in S, X, SH, or CH, the plural of that noun is formed by adding an ES to the singular form. For example, glass, glasses, tax, taxes, bush, bushes, lunch, lunches, etc. If a noun ends in Y and the Y is preceded by a consonant, the plural form is formed by changing the Y to I and adding ES. For example, fly, the L is a consonant. So fly becomes flies, sky becomes skies, lady becomes ladies, etc. But if the noun ends in Y and the letter before it is a vowel, the rule is different. In this case, to make the plural, you simply add an S. For example, day, days, play, plays, key, keys, etc. If the noun ends in O and the O is preceded by a consonant, the plural form is made by adding ES to the singular form, but not always. For example, motto becomes mottos, ES, hero becomes heroes, potato becomes potatoes. The exceptions are piano, no E pianos, grotto, no E grottos, solo, no E solos. And there are others. If the noun ends in O, but the O is preceded by a vowel, the plural is formed by adding S to the singular form of the noun. For example, bamboo, bamboos, folio, folios, etc. Now, if the noun ends in F or FE, the plural is often formed by changing the F or FE to V and adding ES. For example, loaf becomes loaves, thief becomes thieves, calf becomes calves, etc. But some nouns ending in F make the plural by simply adding S. For example, chief becomes chiefs, proof becomes proofs, and roofs becomes roofs, etc. Exceptions are three nouns that end in FE but form the plural by adding S. Now, these are the only three. Safe becomes safes, strife becomes strifes, and fife becomes fifes. There are 8 nouns that form the plural by a change of a vowel. Quite simple to learn these. Man, men, woman, women, foot, feet, goose, geese, tooth, teeth, louse, lice, mouse, mice, except when you're referring to the computer mouse, where the plural is accepted as mouse, dormouse, dormice. There are 3 nouns that form the plural by ending in en. So ox becomes oxen, child becomes children, and the very old-fashioned form of brother used to be brethren, very rarely used now, so usually it's brothers is used nowadays. Some nouns don't change from the singular form to indicate the plural form. For example, deer, could be more than one, sheep, fish, salmon, trout, cod, heathen, swine, or grouse. Some nouns have no singular form. For example, scissors, tidings, means, shambles, gallows, etc. Some nouns are used in specific circumstances very differently when being used as a plural. Have a look at this. A 12-month rule, no S. A 24-hour clock, 40 head of cattle. Other nouns are already expressed as plurals in the composition. The sheep are doing well, the poultry are feeling fine, and the cattle are all mine. Other plural nouns are formed according to the etymology, that is, the derivation of the word. For example, if they're from Latin, the singular ends in which makes a plural ends in a, which is a gender. But we rarely use the singular form these days. From Greek, the singular ends in is, and the plural changes to es, so basis becomes bases. This isn't an exhaustive list. Other words taken from French, Italian, etc. also form plurals differently. Noun case. The relation in which a noun stands to some other word, or the change of form, if any, by which this relation is indicated, is called its case. And there are 5 cases in modern English: nominative, vocative, accusative, dative, and genitive. But thank goodness for you and for me, that's another story for a much later video. When we use a noun, we often pair it with an adjective, especially in our writing if we want to add creativity to our writing. An adjective is used to describe a noun. However, there are 8 different types of adjectives. First one is a proper adjective, just describes a noun as in a person or a thing. For example, an Aboriginal Australian means an Aboriginal from Australia. An English immigrant means an immigrant from England. Descriptive adjectives, they show what quality or state of a noun, a person or a thing is. For example, a hardworking girl or a pretty cat. Quantitative adjectives show how much of a noun, that is a thing, is meant. The only adjectives in this classification are much, little, no, some, any, enough, sufficient, all, whole, half. Note that no is always followed by a noun and is therefore an adjective, whereas none is never followed by a noun and is therefore a pronoun, albeit a negative pronoun. For example, he ate little food, little meaning a small amount of. Numeral adjectives. These show how many nouns, persons or things, or in what order. The classification is then divided into 2 subsets: definite numerals that show the exact number, and that these can be described as cardinals in numbers, so 1, 2, 3, etc. Ordinals, first, second, third, or multiplicatives, one only, or single, double, triple, etc. Indefinite numerals denote the number without being specific: all, some, few, several, for example. Now it gets confusing. If the noun is material or abstract, the adjective is quantitative. If the noun is common, the adjective is numeral. I'm going to read across the page quantitative to numeral. So much, he had much bread, or he had many loaves. He had little bread, or he had few loaves. He had enough bread, he had loaves enough. He had some bread, he had some loaves. He had no bread, he had no loaves. He had all the bread, he had all the loaves. Have you had any bread? Did you bring any loaves? Can you see the difference? I hope you can. They're all plural. Demonstrative adjectives show which or what noun, person, or thing is meant. They restrict the application of a noun to what is intended to be pointed out by the adjective. Again, there are 2 subsets. Definite, when a person or thing is pointed out exactly, the adjective is said to be a definite demonstrative. For example, this man. Indefinite, when a person or thing is pointed out in a certain sense, but not exactly, it's called an indefinite demonstrative. For example, a certain man. Note, the is an article, but is a definite demonstrative. A or an are also articles, but are indefinite demonstratives. An is used before an open vowel, a silent H, or an unaccented H. For example, an apple, an heir, an honest person. Again, I'm going to read across the board. So we do definite, singular, plural. The, this, these, that, those, such, the same, self-same, the same, self-same, the other, the other. Now, indefinite, the singular of has an has no plural. One, any, plural is any. A certain, certain. Such and such, some, Another, any other, just is other, any other, another, any other. Interrogative adjectives asking which or what noun is meant. What time did he arrive? Which book did you like? Distributive adjectives show that nouns are taken singly or in separate lots. For example, each, every, either. Either always has or in the following phrase. Neither is the negative of either, and neither always has nor in the following phrase. Possessive adjectives, also classed as possessive pronouns. These show ownership in relation to a noun and are always used before a noun. For example, my, mine, our, ours, his, her, its, our, your, yours, their, theirs. The next area of grammar we'll look at are the articles. We've also looked at these briefly in a previous video. The article, a, or we can say a, and the, is either definite or indefinite. Its usage depends on the context of the noun, its plurality, that is it singular or plural. An understanding of how to use the article correctly is related to its historical use and development. Note that the, short for this and that, is a demonstrative is a definite demonstrative. A or an, short for one, is an indefinite. An is used before an open vowel, a silent H or an unaccented H. For example, an apple, an air, an honest person, an historical fact. Interesting that an historical fact, because if I said historically, I'm using the h, but an historical fact is actually the correct pronunciation. A or a is used before a consonant, before you or you sounded as you, before one sounded as one. For example, a kite, a useful person, a one-eyed donkey, a European, a unique example, but an unusual example. Okay, I'm going to read across the page for singular and plural for definites. The, this, these, that, yon, yonder, those, yon, yonder. Now, yon and yonder quite old-fashioned. Such, the same or self-same, same, the other, same. Indefinite, singular and plural. A and an doesn't have any plural. One or any has any. A certain becomes certain. Such and such, same. Some, same. Another, any other becomes other, any other. And as a matter of interest only, the indefinite article a or an comes from the Anglo-Saxon language and the use of one. This demonstrates clearly why the a or an will only ever relate to a noun used in the singular case. A or an still retains the sense of one. In Anglo-Saxon, the form of the word the was not used as it is now as a demonstrative adjective. However, for all cases and genders of nouns, both singular and plural, exceptions of course, nominative singular masculine and nominative singular feminine, which we don't need to get into, the definite article was expressed by a declinable adjective containing the base tha, the. It is from this form of the word that we now get our present forms of this, that, these, and those. Verbs. We've looked at these in detail in another video, so please refer to that video for in-depth explanations. I think it was about video 15, verbs and their usage. With verbs, we pair adverbs. Adverbs fall into three classes: simple, interrogative, and conjunctive. Adverbs tell us how, when, where, or why something is done, so they relate to a verb. Simple adverbs are easily distinguished from each other according to their meaning. For example, for time, now, then, before, since, ago, already, soon, presently, immediately, instantly, early, late, etc. Place, here, there, in, out, within, without, above, below, far, near, etc. Note, sometimes there is merely used as an introduction and has no meaning of place. There is someone knocking at the door. Nothing to do with place. Number, once, twice, again, seldom, never, always, sometimes, often, firstly. Description, some of these are formed by adding ly to an adjective. Others are, for example, thus, so, well, asleep, etc. Quantity, extent, or degree, very, much, the, to, quite, almost, little, a little, rather, somewhat, half, partly, wholly. Note, the is not used as a definite article. It is used in the demonstrative case, the boy, meaning a particular boy, or in the comparative, the more the merrier. Affirming or denying, yes, no, not, perhaps, probably, certainly, not at all, etc. Interrogative adverbs are used for asking questions. For example, in time, when, how long, place, where, number, how often, description, how, quantity or degree, how far, cause or reason, why. Conjunctive adverbs, they're in the same form as interrogatory adverbs, but instead of asking questions, they join sentences, being partly adverbs and partly conjunctions. For example, with the antecedent understood, this is where we live. With the antecedent expressed, this is the place where we live. Comparison of adverbs. Adverbs of quality have degrees of comparison, which are formed in the same way as adjectives. If an adverb has one syllable, the comparative is formed by adding er, and the superlative by adding est. For example, fast, faster, fastest, hard, harder, hardest. Some adverbs have a comparative and superlative designated by the root of the word. For example, well, better or best, ill, badly, worse, worst, much more, most little, less, least. Adverbs which end in ly form the comparative by adding more and the superlative by adding most. For example, wisely, more wisely, most wisely. Beautifully, more beautifully, most beautifully. The adverb early has earlier for its comparative. And let's not forget pronouns. There are 5 different kinds of pronouns. Personal pronouns, we've already come across these, called personal because they stand for a person. In fact, in 3 instances, personal pronouns have the same differences of gender and case as nouns. First person is the person speaking, I, me, he, she. The second person is the person being spoken to, you or yours. The third person is the person being spoken about, he, if he's already been mentioned, they, etc. Possessive pronouns, you need to look at possessive adjectives. It's exactly the same, they're just a different name. Demonstrative pronouns point to a noun that went before and is used in place of that noun. That noun is called the antecedent. This, that, these, those, one, ones, none, such. These words have already been suggested to be adjectives, so how can they be pronouns as well? It simply depends on the manner in which they're used. Relative or conjunctive pronouns not only refer to the preceding noun, but also join the 2 sentences together. And note the usage for who or which. Who, whom, or whose are used for people only. Who is used for the subject of a verb. Whom is used for the object of the verb. Which is used for things that are inanimate, that means they're not living, or animals except for humans. And note the usage of that. The word that is used for who or whom or which, but it's never used for whose. Interrogative pronouns, very simple, asking a question. Who spoke? Prepositions. A preposition is a linking word. A preposition links nouns, pronouns, adverbs, infinitives, phrases, and clauses as objects to a preposition. For example, we've got them underlined here. We must be ready by then, linking an adverb as an object. He is about to die, linking an infinitive as an object. These books are sold at half the price, linking a phrase as an object. And that depends on whether he says yes or no, linking a clause as an object. Sometimes an object can be left out of a sentence, but it is understood to be there. For example, omitting a relative pronoun. The man who we were looking for, or the man we were looking for. Omitting a demonstrative pronoun, a chair to sit on it. Sometimes a preposition can be left out. This mainly happens with the prepositions of and at. For example, on board of ship, $100, many, tears. He stared at me and he stared me in the face. He looked at me. He looked me in the eyes. Sometimes than and but can be used as prepositions rather than as conjunctions. For example, he knows that better than I do. He was all but ruined by the downturn in the economy. A conjunction is a word for showing in what relation one notion stands to another notion or one thought to another thought, and they're joining words. There are two main types of conjunctions, coordinating and subordinating. A coordinating conjunction joins sentences of equal ranks or words that stand in the same relation to another word in the sentence. However, there are four kinds of coordinating conjunctions. First one is cumulative, which adds one thought to another. Example, and, but, both, and, not only, but also, as well as, etc. Alternative, offering a choice between one thought and another. For example, either or, else or otherwise, etc. Adversative, contrasting one thought with another. He's very wealthy, but still not happy. Illative, inferring a thought from another. For example, for, therefore, then, so then, etc. A subordinating conjunction joins two sentences when one sentence is said to be subordinate to the other and does the work of a noun, adjective, or adverb. And there are 9 types of these. One in apposition. He made a promise that he could not keep. Cause. I will do this because you want me to. Effect. He talked so much that he lost his voice. Purpose. People work that they may make a living. Condition. I will do that if I'm allowed to. Concession. He was very happy although he was very poor. Comparison. He is as clever as I am. Extent or manner. You will reap as you sow. Time. He came back after he had finished. And please note that as well as can be both coordinating and subordinating. Interjections. An interjection does not enter into the construction of a sentence. It's merely an exclamatory sound which denotes a strong feeling or emotion. Examples of interjections are underlined here. Her brother, alas, is gravely ill. Wow, what a great drawing. Uh-oh, who is that guy? Grr, said the lion. Oh, bother, what a disaster. And there are many and various colloquialisms that are used as interjections. But as many of them are swear words, they won't be listed here. Phrases. A phrase is a combination of words in which no finite verb is either expressed or understood. Kinds of phrases. Phrases are classified according to the part of speech they're replacing. As a pronoun is already a substitute for a noun, it cannot have a phrase to replace it. So we've got a noun phrase which does the work of a noun. How to do this is a difficult question. To do is not a finite verb, it's an infinitive form. Adjectival phrase does the work of an adjective. He is a person of great wealth. Adverbial phrase does the work of an adverb. I will wait a few minutes. Prepositional phrase does the work of a preposition. He went on board the ship. Conjunctional phrase does the work of a conjunction. In case we fail, we must try again. Interjectory phrase does the work of an interjection. What a pity. Clauses. Clause is a sentence which is a part of a larger sentence. It always contains a verb. There are types of clauses. The noun clause. A noun clause may be the subject of a verb, the object of a verb, the object of a preposition, the complement to a verb, or in apposition to a noun. It takes the duties of a noun but can be a complete, simple sentence. Example, that he will come back soon is certain. The adjectival clause qualifies a noun or pronoun belonging to some other clause. That is, it takes the duties of an adjective. That girl, whose dedication to the task is obvious, is coming here next week. The adverbial clause does the work of an adverb to a verb or adjective or adverb belonging to another clause. For example, the headache stopped when the doctor came in. Can I ask you, if this content has been helpful, would you please subscribe to this channel? Many thanks and hope you get to Australia one day.